खान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते महाविष्णु गोस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव महाश्री गोसाई महाराज की जय। भगवत गीता एज इट इज की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम पुराण की जय। नेक्टर ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शंस की जय। नित्य गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा dear devotees. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for His Grace Amrish Prabhuji, Her Grace Pun Pragya Devi Dasi Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhu for organizing these wonderful classes and programs and giving me chance to share my realizations. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. So, yeah, we studying Nectar of Instruction, text 1. So, it's very long purport for text 1, so we reading bit by bit and understanding the points. So we will, as usual, we will start with reciting the our verse first, and then we will go to the purport. वाचो वेगं मनसः क्रोध वेगं जिह्वा वेगं उद्रपस्थ वेगं एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वामपि माम पृथ्वीं सशिष्यात्. Translation. Word to word synonym. Translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. All right. I'll request other devotees to recite the verse, please. Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, His Grace Sanjeev Prabhu, Her Grace Dolly Mataji, His Grace Ambrish Prabhuji, Her Grace Purna Pragya Mataji, and His Grace Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhuji for organizing this wonderful class and training us. Hare Krishna. Vacho Vegam Manasah Krodha Vegam Jiva Vegam Udaro Prastha Vegam एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वामपि मां पृथ्वीं सशिष्यात्. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, anger, and the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. So, yeah. Sorry, my audio is a bit disturbed, so I'm just putting my headphones on or earphones.
Should I start reciting, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Mataji. Carry on.
Thank you, Amrish Prabhuji, Puna Pragya Mataji, and Krishna Samarpan Krishnadas Prabhuji for organizing these wonderful lectures. And thank you, Sanjeev Prabhuji, for conducting these lectures. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jiva vegam udarupastha vegam एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वामपि मां पृथिवीं सशिष्यात्. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, who's next?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhavan.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Dolly Mataji. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhuji, Purna Prabhu Mataji, and Krishna Samarpan Krishna Prabhuji for organizing these classes and training us. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udarupastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvamapi mam prithvim sasisha. Translation: a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhuji. Thank you, Dolly Mataji, for training us. Thank you, Her Grace Purna Praja Mataji, His Grace Amrish Prabhuji, His Grace Krishna Sarpan Krishna Prabhuji for organizing this class. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udarupastha vegam एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः सर्वामपि मां पृथ्वीं सशिष्यात्. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Dolly.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for organizing the program. And Hare Krishna all devotees, thank you for your very nice recitation. Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam utro prastha vegam etan vegan yo visheta dhira sarvam apimam prithvim sasishyat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, and the actions of the anger and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world.
Thank you. So, yeah. So we'll go to the purport now. And yeah, so we stopped here last Sunday. So we're going to start from this verse. So I need a volunteer to read today. Who's that? Yes, Mataji, we can do. Divanshi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 6, verse 227, it is stated, Jihvara lal se ye iti uti dhaya, Shishnodhar Parayana, Krishna nahi paye. That person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate and who is always attached to the desires of his stomach and genitals is unable to attain Krishna.
Yes.
As
So this is in a Bengali verse. It's a little bit different meter than normal Bhagavad Gita verses. Jivahara lal se ye iti uti dhaya Shishnodhara prayana Krishna nahi paya. Yes.
As stated before, the tongue, belly, and genitals are all situated in a straight line, and they fall in the same category. Lord Chaitanya has said, Bhalana khaibe, ara bhalana paribe. Do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious foodstuffs. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 6, verse 236. Those who suffer from diseases of the stomach must be unable to control the urges of the belly, at least according to this analysis. When we desire to eat more than necessary, we automatically create many inconveniences in life. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the belly.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so we have discussed these points before about fasting and the urges of the belly. Yeah, here the first point Srila Prabhupada are giving the reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antalila, chapter 6, verse 2 to 7, which confirms that uncontrolled urges and desires will lead us to the hellish life. And attaining Krishna consciousness is very easy, very simple. And but for those who are always attached to their desires, it is very difficult to attain. So tongue, belly, and genitals are controlled when the tongue is controlled. We have discussed that like they are three, one in line. So, and by observing fasting on festival days and Ekadasi days, so we can control the urge of belly, and our health also will improve, which is the byproduct anyway, because our main purpose is to please Krishna and serve Krishna with the best of our abilities. And yeah, so that is how we can control the urges of the tongue and belly. We have discussed. So now, towards the end, Srila Prabhupada will focus on the urge of genital, and which is very important as well to understand, and why Srila Prabhupada has given those explained elaborately on it, because it's directly related to our sadhana as well. So we'll read that and then we'll discuss further on those points.
As far as the urges of the genitals are concerned, there are two, proper and improper, or legal and illicit sex. When a man is properly mature, he can marry according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras and use his genitals for begetting nice children. That is legal and religious. Otherwise, he may adopt many artificial means to satisfy the demands of the genitals, and he may not use any restraint. When one indulges in illicit sex life, as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually having sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in the clutches of Maya. These instructions apply not only to householders, but also to Tyagis, or those who are in the renounced order of life.
Yes,
In his
Mataji. We'll stop here and then we'll discuss the other. Uh, so here, Srila Prabhupada are explaining about the urges of genitals. So, and that when one indulged in illicit sex life, as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking and planning, talking about it, or actual having sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in the clutches of Maya. So these instructions apply not only to the householders, but to the Tyagis, or those who are in the renounced order of life, like sannyasis. So it's for everyone. It's not just for like who's just a like a brahmachari or sannyasi. He has to do it. No, because Maya works on everyone. So we have to be very careful, in our dealings and day-to-day activities. So we can understand that the sex impulse or the urge of genitals is natural, and in order to, because natural means is given by us by the mother nature to, in order to beget the children. But to overindulging in this is for our entertainment or gratification by above mentioned means, like thinking, willing, the talking about it, artificial means and all that, is the ways they all are illicit. They all described as illicit. So it is not that sex is forbidden for householders, but as Srila Prabhupada are mentioning that when a man is properly mature, he can marry and use his genitals to beget nice children. So the maturity is very important here. Otherwise, we would not know what is proper and what is legal or what is illegal or illicit. So how this maturity will come is when we follow devotional service under a bona fide guidance, and for this purpose are like, so we can get training. This is a training, so we can get training, we can get trained up nicely how we should handle those things, how we should handle those urges. Because keeping in mind in all these things, our society in Vedic culture used to divide in 4 orders, spiritual orders. They call spiritual orders. The first one is brahmachari, brahmacharya. That's like a celibate or student life for first 25 years of age. Then the grahastha, householder, the married life for next 25 years. Because after following brahmacharya and studying scriptures in Gurukul with disciplined life, one becomes mature enough to enter into the household life, where he won't use these artificial means or illicit sex life. He knows that using his genitals are only for begetting children, and that is also keeping in mind that Krishna is the center, and the children will get Krishna consciousness environment from the start. So this maturity is needed before entering in household life. Then after 50 years of age is vanaprastha life. That is also called retired, retired life, retired from household duties and spending more and more time in Krishna conscious activities. So only involving in household when children need guidance, not all the time. So that's vanaprastha. And after 50, we must do. As it is, it's not very long lives nowadays. Everyone is like, people are getting heart attacks, people are getting so many diseases, severe implications in very early ages. So this is the system. This used to be a system. Brahmacharya, when you learn the discipline, you read scriptures, and then you enter into the married life. So you know that what is illegal, what is legal, not to use, not to overindulge in those things. and then Vanaprastha. So Vanaprastha, when not like nowadays, the retirement life is very different. People think that, oh, we don't do work, and then they play games, play cards, go sightseeing and all those things they do. That's in a retirement life. But retired people, they gather and they do those things. But rather than doing those things, they can go to holy dhams, holy places, and they can involve in preaching of Krishna consciousness rather than spending time in games, and study scriptures rather than watching TV and newspaper all the time. So these sort of things is comes as if when we are mature. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj says that if you lived a sinful life in young age, then do not expect peaceful life in your old age. So if we haven't done those things when we are young, obviously we're not going to attracted, or we feel lonely, or we feel very left out. But a Krishna conscious person, he's very happy. He's wherever he is, he can open Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, as Guru Maharaj instructed us. Just open Srimad Bhagavatam and read. And then these things won't happen. So we must restrain from sinful activities and practice Krishna consciousness, whichever age group we are in. Because lastly, the last order of life is after 75 years is sannyas, the renounced order, in which one leaves his family and spend all his rest of the life to preach Krishna consciousness and travel different places and renounce all like all the material things. Now in this way, he leaves his body in detachment from these material things and 100% attached to Krishna. And that is the goal. So now the sannyas is, well, although there is a spiritual order in place, like in Vedic culture, but nowadays in Kali Yuga, sannyas is not recommended, because this Kali Yuga, the age is it's full of hypocrisy and quarrel. And although Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, they accepted sannyas in order to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. And Maharaj said that he accepted sannyas when his plate was full. So that means Maharaj freed from all his household duties and marrying his children and was living in England. But then Maharaj took sannyas and came to India and lived very humble and austere life in order to show us the example. And so we can practically implement Srimad Bhagavatam in our lives, as Guru Maharaj did that. I was fortunate enough to go and see Guru Maharaj Samadhi with His Grace Amrish Prabhu, and came in contact with Maharaj through His Grace Amrish Prabhu. And I have seen Maharaj's room. His bed is like one leg is broken, all the supported by the brick. So very austere and humble situation Maharaj lived in his sannyas. So yeah, because Maharaj set it up an ideal sannyasi life. And I heard that His Grace Amrish Prabhu told us that one example that Maharaj, because Prabhuji was in the same room, and one lady came to see Maharaj, and Maharaj was sort of very away, Although the lady is very younger, very like a daughter's age of Maharaj. Maharaj is very in advanced age. But still, because being a sannyasi, he was showing the example, how we should behave, not intimately talking or meeting in secluded places with women, especially in sannyas order. And yeah, but this point will come next. Actually, Srila Prabhupada gives example of from Chaitanya not Chaitanya Charitamrita, other scripture where the story of Chota Haridas will come. So this is the examples we can practically actually we can see, understand how our acharyas, our seniors, our guru, they behave or they lived life. So we can follow their footsteps, not imitating them, because we can't imitate, because they are Paramhamsas, pure Vaishnavas. So we might not have that capacity. That I decide I'll take sannyas, I will live like that. I can't. So, but we can follow the footsteps. What Guru Maharaj showed us. So we can, in our capacity, we can do those things. Not overcomplicating our life. At least we can do simple living, high thinking. So yeah, just these are the 4 orders that used to be in place, that in order to control our senses and live in a mature life. So is any question or points needs to be clear so far, so we can read further those references before we go there? No? All right. Okay.
In his book Prema Vivart, chapter 7, Sri Jagadanand Pandit says, वैरागी भाई ग्राम्य कथा न सुनिबे काने न सुनिबे काने ग्राम्य वार्ता न कहिबे यबे मिलिबे आने स्वपने ओ ना कर भाई स्त्री संभाषण गृहे स्त्री चढ़िया भाई आसियाच वन यदि चाह प्रणय राखिते गौरांगेर सने छोटा हरिदासेर कथा थाके येन मने भाल न खाइबे आर भाल न परिबे हृदयते राधा कृष्ण सर्वदा सेविवे. My dear brother, you are in the renounced order of life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Just 1 second, Prabhuji. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their lordships, Sri Radha Krishna, in your heart of hearts.
Thank you. Yes, there is in these verses a lot of instructions, but the main point that we were discussing here about associating with intimately with opposite sex is forbidden, especially with renounced order. And hold on. Because there is a story of Chota Haridas. I was reading that the references that Srila Prabhupada given here, and the story goes like that when Chota Haridas, because he was following the order of Bhagwan Acharya and went to collect alms from Madhavi Devi, he committed an offense by talking intimately with a woman, although he was in the renounced order. Because of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas, and despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees, the Lord did not accept him again. And 1 year after this incident, Chota Haridas went to the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna and committed suicide. In his spiritual body, however, he continued to sing devotional songs, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard them. So this is the story that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Chota Haridas because of that offense. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, like in same Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one place, Srila Prabhupada are referring that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in this connection that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ocean of mercy, chastised Junior Haridas, although Junior Haridas was his dear devotee, to establish that one in the devotional line, engaged in pure devotional service, should not be hypocrite. For a person engaged in devotional service in the renounced order, having intimate relationship with women is certainly hypocrisy. This chastisement was given to Junior Haridas as an example to future Sahajiyas who might adopt the dress of the renounced order to imitate Rupa Goswami and other bona fide sannyasis, but secretly have illicit connection with women. So this is a point. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set the example that as a sannyas order or in a renounced order, it's very strict life. It's no room for any compromise. And further, Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that Srimati Madhavi Devi was a highly elevated devotee. Therefore, approaching her to ask for some rice to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly not very big offense. Nevertheless, just to preserve the regulatory principle for the future, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enforced the hard and fast rule that no one in the renounced order should intimately mix up with women. Had Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not chastised Junior Haridas for this slight deviation, so-called devotees of the Lord would have exploited the example of Junior Haridas to continue their habits of illicit connections with women unrestrictedly. Indeed, they still preach that such behavior is allowed for a Vaishnava, but it is strictly not allowed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the teacher of the entire world, and therefore he enforced this exemplary punishment to establish that illicit sexual connection are never allowed by Vaishnava philosophy. This was his purpose in chastising Junior Haridas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, in fact, the most magnanimous incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he strictly prohibited illicit sex. So here we can see that the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Chota Haridas. And he, because in sannyas order, it's sort of like it's an example, you know, in sannyas order, you don't want to do those things. And this sets up, it opens our eyes as well. Because when we see, because there are a lot of sannyasis around us, and you must have also came in contact. So you can see different sannyasis, they do preaching work, they do very, very big classes, very, very nice classes. But we should open our eyes, we should do our own research. That is this example that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying here or done that, is that upheld it by those sannyasis, as the example of Guru Maharaj, you know. I heard from Amrish Prabhu, His Grace Amrish Prabhu, he told us, you know, how Maharaj is behaved, you know, how he lived his life. So that is very high standard. And that it should be. Why not? Because sannyas order is not like very easy thing, or you can't take it cheaply. Or otherwise you'll be hypocrite. Like Srila Prabhupada said that this age is a hypocrisy and poor age anyway. So this is a hypocrisy otherwise. So this story of Chota Haridas is mentioned here because of this reason, that we can understand that what is, and it's not just for the sannyas, for householder as well. It doesn't mean that we are allowed to marry, doesn't mean that we do illicit relationships with many women, you know. So householder also, and sannyas is one step further. So yeah, that's what we need to understand, these points from here. So yeah.
The conclusion is that one who can control these six items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the go or senses. When one accepts the renounced order of life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is the master of his family, community, or society. He must be master of his senses. Unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called Goswami, but Godas, servant of the senses. Following in the footsteps of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, the Godasas engage in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. They have no other engagement. Prahlad Maharaj has further described the Godas as Adant Go, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. An Adant Go cannot become a servant of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj has said, Matisna Krishne Paratah Svatova Mithobhipadyeta Grihavritanam Adantagobhe Vishatantamisram Punaha Punascharvita Charvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So this is the last conclusion Srila Prabhupada is giving, that the main point in the conclusion, we can understand that when we dedicate our life to Krishna consciousness, then we must practice regulative principles. Because in this current age of, as we discussed, with hypocrisy and quarrel, everything is centered with sense gratification and sex. Because if they want to sell anything, you must have seen in the advertisements or anywhere, they bring sex in it. And either half-naked woman or anything. So it is impossible to escape from these sort of advertisements, videos, magazines, internet is full of it. But the point is here that when we start walking on the path of Krishna consciousness, then we start controlling our senses and practicing to be a simple life and high thinking. Of course, chanting of the holy name is purifying us, but we also make a sincere effort to follow rules and regulations strictly. I was reading today's calendar of Guru Maharaj, and Maharaj is saying that in today's, when attachment is there, the Bhagavatam never sticks to your head. The potency is gained when we renounce. Don't renounce to show, renounce to come to Bhagavatam. So sincerity is needed. Just to showing off, like, oh, I wore a saffron dress, or I'm sannyasi now. Just to show off, it's not going to work. With the Bhagavatam, the hypocrisy doesn't work. So when we want to really becoming Goswamis, not Godas. So this is in this conclusion, because this point is towards the end, Srila Prabhupada gave the reference from Srimad Bhagavatam, chewing the chew. It's very important verse. This verse is very, it's quoted many places by Srila Prabhupada. So, because in previous lives we have enjoyed or suffered our senses by gratifying them, and we had families or enjoyed sex life, other sense gratification, but none of that satisfied us. That's why we are here, that's why we are in the next birth, because we're taking births again and again, because all those things not satisfying us. We're desiring more and more, desiring unlimited desires are there. And with the unlimited desires, the body is ready. Maharaj says, every time you desire, every desire you have, the body is ready for you. Because Krishna is so merciful, he fulfills our desires. So we're chewing the chew. So the main reason is attachment. For this sense gratification, the main reason is attachment. And the best solution is to increase our attachment to Krishna. And this detachment from such things and the activities happens automatically. Because if we waste our time, so right, I want to detach from those material things first, and then I will concentrate on Krishna consciousness, it means we are still focusing on those sense gratificatory activities. We're not focusing on Krishna. You understand that point? So because we still are on that level that, okay, I want to stop it. No, focus on Krishna consciousness activities. Read scriptures, chanting, services. So those, if you focus on there, those things automatically will go away in due course of time. You don't have to put extra endeavor there. So because our focus shifted, our focus shifted to Krishna. So there is another example Srila Prabhupada gives very often. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar Yahana Krishna Tahana Hi Maya Adhikar. Means Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just darkness. If sun is present there, no question of darkness. So this is the conclusion. We focused on Krishna more and we engaged in Krishna consciousness activities, and less time we will spare for other activities because we are too busy. We are too busy with our preaching programs. We are too busy with our daily sadhana, reading scriptures. So we don't have much time for other things. And that's the whole purpose, keeping us busy in Krishna conscious activities. The more spare time we have, well, we can be our own judge. Because when we have some spare time, what we do? Are we inclined to read scriptures or are we inclined to do other things? I know it's not going to happen straight away. I'm struggling. I'm not like big devotees. I'm also neophyte. So it's very hard. But the main thing is day in, day out, we carry on. We continually do it. Continuity is the key. Because every day we get contaminated, every day we get purified. Every day, then again, we get contaminated. So these things, because as long as we are in material world, contamination is there. Always there. So this towards the end. I think one point I want to share from the last verse that Srila Prabhupada mentioned from the chewing the chew verse. Yeah. It's very nice verse. I will recite that as well. Shipalad Vacha Matir na Krishne Paratah Swato va Mitto Abhipadayeta Grihvritana Adanta Gobhir Vishitam Tamishram Punaha Punascharvita Charvinana. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has been already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by the combination of both. So in translation, we can see that dear Krishna consciousness never aroused either by others, the instructions of others. You know, people are who are really attached with their uncontrolled senses. They don't listen to anybody. The instructions are there, but they don't take those instructions. And even they don't do any effort. Or if somebody else try to help them, because no inclination there. And Srila Prabhupada gives in one point in the purport, those who are graha vrata, whose only aim is to live comfortably with the body in the material world, cannot understand Krishna. The two expressions, grahi vrata and charvita charvananam, indicate that a materialistic person tries to enjoy sense gratification in different bodily forms, life after life, but still unsatisfied. Yeah, this was the point, that although we have done these things in every life, but we are not satisfied. Satisfaction, we all following Krishna consciousness now. So you must have felt some satisfaction, some peacefulness when we come to Krishna consciousness, when we come to programs, when we do chanting, you know, because, and from here we can understand the satisfaction is in Krishna consciousness only and only. It's nowhere else. So you can do a lot of other activities. Somebody do bungee jumping, somebody go for paragliding, somebody do, you know, going for hill stations, going, doing crazy things. Why? They want to be like, they want that satisfaction. But it's not like, again, they want to do it, some different things. So satisfaction is not there. But when we follow it, we feel very peaceful, very satisfied, and situated where you are. So at this point, we discussed that before also, situated where you are, and then you can, and you still can follow Krishna consciousness wherever you are. That's the beauty. That's the dynamic process. The bhakti is dynamic process. So I think we concluded here the whole purport now, and a lot of points we discussed throughout last few Sundays. So there are some questions also, and as we discussed by His Grace Amrish Prabhu instructed that you can post all your questions by this Wednesday, and then I can request His Grace Amrish Prabhu for take the final class and address those questions, you know, those inquiries. You know, I think Pradyumna Prabhu had some questions from Prabhu also, and Divanshi Mata also. So yeah, for now, whatever we discussed here, is any clarification needed or any comment or question? So we've got still got a bit of time, 5 minutes. Hare Krishna, Pradyumna Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for the class. Thank you for telling Prabhu. I had one question. So when we were discussing about that story of Chota Haridas, like Chaitanya Prabhu said that those who are in the renounced order of life or those who are sannyasis, they should be very careful about these topics. But I was thinking that like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that whoever is not attached to the fruits of the result, he is a sannyasi. Like we can also be sannyasi in this age or any age, unless and until we are not attached with the fruits of the labor we do. So I think that applies to everyone who is practicing bhakti because we are trying to not be attached to the fruits of labor. So
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for your question, Prabhu. Yeah, it is very it is true. Although the sannyas is not recommended with Kali Yuga, is that the sannyas order, like you go away, leave your family, you know. And nowadays, the society is such a way. Before, like in Vedic cultures, the society or the king and every administration, they used to support sannyasis. Sannyasis used to go one place to another place, and they used to support them. But nowadays, the government is secular. They are doing their own things, and people are not very intelligent. They misguided, so they think sannyasi, or he's useless. He's burden on the society because he's not working. He's not productive. They think that way. So in that, like that reference you given from Bhagavad Gita is also is true, because we give results to Krishna. We not work for our sense gratification. In that way, we all sannyasis. Like we renounce the results. But and I think we discussed this point. His Grace Amrish Prabhu also mentioned that before, that when we follow Krishna consciousness, that point that we renounce results. So all of us has to follow that, not just the senior or junior or sannyasis or grasta. No, all of us, whoever is following bhakti, is doing that. Why? Because we attach to Krishna. We love Krishna. That's the goal, right? This is our goal. So yes, Prabhuji, in that way, these instructions for everybody, not just for sannyasis. But this example, that example set by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chota Haridas, that is for every one of us. But Srila Prabhupada gave this example there and especially mentioned the renounced order because there are sannyasis in society as well, you still can see them. So for that reason also, we need to open our eyes and see what's going on, and who's following, who's not following, who, we can see by their behavior. Yeah. But it's a very good question, Prabhuji. We can please post this question also. So Amrish Prabhu can elaborate more on this point. I will request His Grace Amrish Prabhu for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. All right, I think no more clarification needed. So we can stop 5 minutes before and we can have break. I'll ask